Recently, I got selected in DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization. So, Defense Research and Development Organization is a prestigious organization of India which has the responsibility of developing cutting edge defense technologies. You might have heard about the missile program led by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So, he was also a scientist of DRDO. He was an outstanding scientist of DRDO. So, yes, outstanding scientist is not a mere adjective, it is a highest post of a scientist in DRDO, just below the distinguished scientist. Now, other than defense, DRDO has done work from installing biotoilets to helping in COVID-19. So, it is not like only it is making armaments and all. If you have a mind of scientist and you want to do any kind of work in any kind of field, then DRDO is for you. So, if you have the dream of becoming a scientist in DRDO, then get AIR 31, who has cracked DRDO recently, will show you the path. So, stay tuned. Now, in this video, I will share with you my story. You can expect the environment of the RAC, Recruitment Assessment Centre of DRDO, which is situated at Delhi, Timarpur. Now, other than that, I will also share with you that will they provide the TA or not, the travel allowance? How was the accommodation? How are the interview panelists? Yes, I have some situations of awkward situation. So you will also learn that how to react in those awkward situations when an interview panelist making you awkward is behaving very roughly. So that was the last part, the last panelist of the interview who made me so awkward. So how I did respond in that situation. So without ado, let's start. Now, my interview was scheduled on 25th of the October of this year. So you might be thinking that means it is a recruitment of 2024, right? No, it was a recruitment of 2023. I filled up the form, the online application form of DRDO in 2023. But after that, 1 year has passed. So in that year, I was like, either मैंने कोई गलती की होगी या फिर DRDO has forgot. Okay. So I was like, okay, DRDO तो छोड़ ही देते. But that was not the case. After 1 year, in the month of the September, I got the intimation message from DRDO that you are shortlisted for interview. And I was happy enough to get the chance. So when I got the mail, then I thought that should I go to the interview or not, because I was not actually very much prepared that how they will ask and what they will ask, because I am studying the MTech, okay, in thermal and fluids engineering. But I still made my mind, okay, chalo ek baar dekhte hi kya hi hoga. So here starts my journey. I took a flight from Kolkata, obviously my hometown, to reach Delhi in 24th of October. So when I was in the flight was just landing in Delhi. I got a call from DRDO that if you are applying for the interview or not. So they also know that we have, we are conducting this interview after 1 year. That means it is it is a most possible chance that most of the people will not come for the interview. And that was the actual scenario that I will share you later in the video. So I got out from the plane, from the airport, and here is a pro tip, that is, when you are getting out from the airport, please don't rush for the prepaid taxi. I thought that that will be much cheaper compared to Ola or Uber, but I was completely wrong. It took me 700 rupees to reach Timarpur from the airport, but it almost took me 300 rupees when I came via Uber from the DRDO center to airport. So please compare the prices of the prepaid taxi and Ola Uber, then you can choose to go. Okay. And also there are bus services available. Now, for those who are getting bored by this information, you can always skip to the part of the main interview. But I believe that some of my viewers have not that much financial condition that they can waste the 400 rupees essay. So for them, I will share these tips also. So I reached the DRDO center where my accommodation was given in the APJ Abdul Kalam transit facility. Yes, the accommodation they will give you, but here is a small catch that you have to mention to the reply of your interview letter that you want accommodation. only then they will give you accommodation. Now, the accommodation environment was like a hotel. You have to check in and you have to check out. And when you will be checking out, you have to pay the rent. So the room was actually it was a room of two where three of us had to adjust. But okay, it was spacious enough that we did adjust and it was not a problem at all. There were two coolers, so the heat was also not a big issue. And there was a big bathroom, so everything was fine in that room. Other than the fact that they did not change the bed sheet. Okay, so we had to use the used bed sheet, but it was also almost clean. Okay, no dirt or anything filthy was there. So that was all about the room. Now, let me talk about the food. So the food they also provided, but the options were very less. Okay, I mean, you can't expect that they will offer you chicken, they will offer you paneer and all those things. No, it was completely vegetarian. And I can remember that in dinner, I ate roti. Rice was also available. It was a dal and a sabzi. Okay, and salad. And after that, a small dessert. But the quality and the taste of the food was very good. But the options were based on. Okay. I mean, no other option is there. And on the breakfast, on the next day, when I came for the breakfast, so it was again only puri sabji was there, no other option. But I must say that I had to pay, if I include all the things, the accommodation for one night, the foods, all total, I had to pay only 400 rupees. That is damn cheap, yeah. I have also gone to BARC. There, the only the room rent was 800. So I must say that this is damn cheap. So now let me come to the interview day. So on that day, I just, prepared and I was in a formal attire. It was a formal shirt, cream colored shirt and the pants. So you should be taking care about these facts that you must be in a formal attire for at least DRDO and ISRO. DRC people do not care about these things much, honestly. So I went to RAC, the center that was in a 10-minute walking distance from this Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Transit Facility. And the security in RAC was very strong. And you have to submit your all of the belongings, including obviously the smartwatch, phone, tablet, anything that you are having, along with your bag. You have to submit that into the office. Only thing that you can take with you is the ID card that will be given by them and your official documents. I mean, the originals and the Xerox copies. So, with that, I went to the waiting room. In this point, I would like to mention that there were two interview panels for mechanical, and in the same day, the interview of ETC also was there. So, for all the branches, there are two panels. One branch is there for the general category only, and other branch was there or other panel was there for the other branches other than general or unreserved. So I noticed that in the general category, 17 students were invited for the interview in that day. So if you make a rough calculation that almost 16 to 17 students are coming per day and the interview was for only 1 week. So it was almost 110 to 120 students who has appeared for the interview. Now, among those 17 students, only 8 students came for the interview. No, 8 students were for the other branches. In my case, it was only 6 students. So, from those 120 students, so all total, at max 120 students were interviewed. And among those 120 students, at max or maximum of half, I mean, that is the 60. So, 60 students may have appeared for the unreserved category for the interview. Now, first, I will tell about the experiences of my fellow candidates. Before that, I would like to say that most of them were working and I was the youngest among them. So they were the employees of IOCL, of NTPC, and maybe of some other PSUs. Only one guy was there and he was AIR 25 of GATE 2023. He was also doing his MTech from IIT Madras in mechanical design. So those who did not have any further specialization, those who were working in IOCL, they were rigorously asked about the manufacturing. So I heard those questions, not only the basic questions that you expect in GATE, but very tough questions like which material will you use for the car and this and this. These are also very much basic questions. But if you don't have that much practice of, if you don't have that much basic knowledge of manufacturing, then you will not be able to answer it. So this is a pro tip. If you don't have any specialization like I had, that is I am doing my MTech in thermal and fluids, then you should do your preparation beforehand, okay, about the manufacturing. Okay, because I have seen that be it ISRO or be it DRDO, the case is that if you don't have any specialization, they will dive deep into the manufacturing part. So always be prepared for that. Now, I will talk about my interview experience. So here I have my iPad and here I will write the questions. So the first thing was that what was your MTP? That is your MTech thesis or MTech project, MTP. There were 5 panelists. And obviously, like any other interview panel, there was a chairman and 4 other panelists were there. So one panelist was actually very young, and I assume his age would be from 30 to 40. Okay, but all other panelists were senior scientists. So obviously, I am not very cool in all the places. I also get palpitations, tensions when I am sitting in front of DRDO scientists. But this is how I did manage, and from this, what you can learn, that you will see now. So when my interview started, so the chairman said that, okay, so you are Shoham and you have not done any job. You have just completed your BTech, and after that you have secured a very good rank in GATE, and followed by joining into IIT Kharagpur in MTech. Very good. So you are a fresh candidate, totally fresh. So it was like कि एक गरम गरम कोई आया है, चलो देखते हैं कैसा है. So it was a funny thing. So they asked me that what did you do in your MTech thesis? So I answered that I am doing the blood flow. So I was actually doing the analysis of blood flow in microchannels. So this was an experimental work. Now I will not describe my work, so because that will not be a good thing for this video, but I will share my experiences. So here I will suggest that before appearing into any kind of interview like this, you must have the concept of 3 things. And which are the 3 things? Those are firstly, what have you done or what have you used, and followed by how have you done or how have you used anything, followed by why have you done and why have you used. Believe me, I was rigorously asked about all these details of my experiment, like what was the flow rate and why was that flow rate that you have used? How did you make the channel? All those things I was asked. And there were people, the 5 scientists were from different domains. There were scientists from manufacturing, from fluids, from design, all those parts are there. So from your project, they can bring up any part. So they asked me that, okay, now if you have to make the channel like this, so how can you do that? So see, from your MTech thesis only, they can bring so many questions. So these 3 things you must be very clear about before going to any kind of interview. That is what, how, and why. So it went almost 15 minutes about the MTP. Now came the first panelist's turn. So panelist 1. Now he asked me that, okay, you were working with the flow of a fluid in a channel. So do you know that what is boundary layer? So the first question was boundary layer. So I answered that, sir, boundary layer is nothing but the distance from the plate or from the surface to which the fluid is in contact, okay, at which the fluid is having the 99% of the free stream velocity. So this is the boundary layer, I answered. Then he asked that this is what type of boundary layer. So then I understood that he is talking about both of the boundary layers. One is hydrodynamic, another is thermal. So I told them that this is hydrodynamic. Then he asked that, do you know about any other kind of boundary layer? I told, sir, yes. Okay, just a small interruption. But if you feel that this is very slow, I am going very slow, you can always see the video in 2x speed, right? So other kind of BL, I said, yes, sir, thermal boundary. And I also told that the definition of the thermal boundary that I will not, repeat here. So then he told me that which fluid parameter will compare these two, that is boundary layer thickness of hydrodynamic and boundary layer thickness thermal. The answer is the Prandtl number, obvious. I could answer this also. And then he asked me that, what is Prandtl number? I told that Prandtl number is nu by alpha. Then he asked me that what is the significance of these numbers, that is nu and alpha. So I told that, sir, nu will dictate that how much will be the delta H and alpha will dictate how much will be the delta T. Okay, but you have to tell us in a more detail, in a more fundamental. So then I understood that they are asking that in terms of the fluid behavior, how it will behave depending on this nu and alpha. So for nu, this is the momentum diffusivity. So I told that, sir, nu will dictate that how much momentum will be penetrated through a particular distance inside the fluid. So that was fine. And alpha is the thermal diffusivity. So how much thermal energy or how much temperature effect will be penetrated through a particular distance inside the. So they looked satisfied. So the first panelist asked me only this thing. So up till now, the interview is going very well. I got some confidence. Then came the turn of the second panelist. So, okay, now this is something I would like to share because this is a very interesting part. So, panelist 2 was from manufacturing. So, at first, he directly told me that, Dekho beta, I am not from the domain of your specialization, but can I ask you some basic questions of manufacturing? So, here I was very humble and I told directly, sir, I have not studied manufacturing from past 1.5 years. So I am really not very much comfortable about the manufacturing. But the interview panelist was very much calm and cool and supportive. So he told me that don't worry, I will ask you very basic questions and you tell me that from which part of the manufacturing I should ask you. Then I just laughed a bit, not like ha ha ha, but I smiled and I told that, sir, in all of the part of manufacturing, I am equally uncomfortable. So you can ask me from any part, I will try. Then he went on that let's start with the casting. So then he started with how can we cast cylindrical pipes. Then I answered that we can do it by centrifugal casting. So then he looked satisfied and he told also that very good. Now he asked about the centrifugal casting. That is, what is centrifugal casting? Then I told that, sir, we have to pour the molten metal into the mold and we have to make it, rotate. So then he asked that which part will you make, rotate? Will it be the mold or will it be the molten metal? So I thought that, okay, I have to use the centrifugal action. So by the centrifugal action, I need to spread the molten metal on the inside part of the mold. That means I need to spray the molten metal into a rotating manner. I answered this only, but then he told that no beta, we do rotate the mold. So I gave a wrong answer. Then he asked from the welding part. He told that, do you know about the gas welding and the arc welding? I told that, yes, sir. Arc welding is we keep a workpiece, we take an electrode, and then we make some spark. So then he looked that, okay, you are on the right path. Then he asked me about the TIG. First, he asked me the full form. I told that it is tungsten inert gas welding. But after that, whatever I told about TIG, that was totally wrong. Okay, then he told me that no, it is not TIG. So again, I failed to answer this question also. Then he continued, can you tell me the difference between conventional and unconventional machining? So then I told that, yes, sir, in conventional machining, there is only the application of mechanical force. And for unconventional machining, we apply all forces other than the mechanical one, like the chemical force or electrical force. Then he looked satisfied. Then he asked me, do you know about the EDM? Again, first the full form. So I told that and also I gave the correct description of EDM. Sir, this is EDM. Then he told me that, do you know that how much voltage is used in EDM? So I directly told that, no, sir, I don't know this. Then he asked, have you ever gone in your, machining shop in IIT Kharagpur? I told them, sir, I am the MTech student in thermal and fluids. So I did not have that opportunity. Then one panelist, so this was that panelist who made me awkward at the last of the interview. So he told that, so you don't have that much wish to explore all the facilities and all the labs and in your institution. So then I was like, ab main kya bol? So that was the thing, that this part ended with something like embarrassing. So then came the turn of the third panelist. We have two more panelists, only P3 and P4. This panelist asked me from CFD and fluid mechanics, basic fluid mechanics. So he told me that you are working with the experimental part, but can you model it numerically? So CFD is actually my strength. So I could answer that very well. So I told sir, yes, I can model. Then sir asked that which equation will you solve? Okay, to model the scenario. Then I answered it very well, that the continuity and the momentum. As our temperature is constant, we don't need the energy equation. Then he told that how can you simplify this equation according to your situation, according to your model. Then I told sir, I have already done it. That is, my Navier-Stokes equation will become the Stokes equation. So I will not go into very depth, but Stokes equation is when the inertia term will go to zero. So then he told me, can you write the Stokes equation? So the Stokes equation. So I wrote the Stokes equation beautifully. So the Stokes equation was 0 is equal to minus del P del X plus nu into del U del X2 plus del 2U del Y2. Now I ask that how do you know that inertia term will be negligible? How inertia term is almost 0? How? How that is so? So then I answered, sir, by order of magnitude analysis. Order of magnitude analysis. So what is that? So then he asked me that can you do that now? So then I told sir, yes, inertia force is something like rho into u into del u del x. That is something like rho into some uc square by lc, and v is something like mu into del 2u del x2. That is something like mu into uc but lc square. So if you guys are not understanding that what I am writing, I am just writing for the reference of what I have answered. So then you have to take the ratio of these two and then you can find. So this will be actually the RE, Reynolds number. So then he looked very much satisfied. So then he told me that okay, that is fine. So now can you discretize d2t dx2 by central difference scheme? I wrote that. Now here one more tip. So that is why I am asking you to watch the whole video. There will be so many tips in these videos. Okay. When I was writing this particular expression, that is tx plus delta x, so then I was actually not sure. So then I told while I was writing that, sir, I am not sure about this expression, but if you permit, I can derive it. That if you don't exactly recall the perfect thing, but you know the derivation, then you must say that I don't exactly recalling the exact expression, but I can always derive it. This will put always a positive impression. Okay, but it was actually correct. Then he asked the order of the accuracy. So I also told that this is order of 2. So then he followed. Now by this time, the chairman said the CFD panelists that, okay, now you can stop it. You have asked so many questions. But the CFD panelists were like, just one more question, sir, just one more question. So either he was impressed by me that I am answering the questions so well, or he was like, "Ki, let's, make this guy troublesome situation." So, but they were not that kind of scientists because if they are scientists, they can always put me in that kind of situations. But they were asking me the basic questions on. So then the next question was that, do you know about the simple algorithm? So I was very much confident about this algorithm also. So I answered the full form of the simple and I beautifully uh, described the simple algorithm. And finally, he asked one more question, that methods. Can you tell me some methods of solving non-linear equations? Non-linear equations. I told sir we have Newton, Raphson, bisection method and all other methods like that. So he was actually very much satisfied. So CFD was my strength, and here I will give you a suggestion that if you are going for this kind of interviews, especially in DRDO and ISRO, so if you are from mechanical design branch, then FEM is what they would be liking. I mean, if you have a deep knowledge in FEM. And if you are from the thermal part, then CFD can be your very good tool. Okay, your very good strength. So I think this part is what which made me the DRDO scientist. That's the CFD part. So now the last panelist, let me come to the last panelist, P4. So his questions were, I should say, the engine design and not the stress designs, but the thermal considerations. So first he asked, and this was the panelist who make me actually awkward, okay, who make me awkward and who was behaving a bit rough. So he started by asking, "Do you know that what is knocking?" So I answered that yes, it is the abrupt surge in the pressure and thusly creating some bad noises in the engine. So then he said, okay. Now he said, do you know that he said that is knocking a fuel property? Then I told, sir, it depends on fuel, but if we design the cylinder by some means, then I mean we can also prevent that for the same fuel. So then he asked me that how can you correlate fuel and its knocking capability? Then I answered that there is something called octane number and cetane number. I answered that, but I was not sure. When you are not sure about the answer, after giving the answer or even before giving the answer, you should say that, sir, I am not sure, but I can try. So I did the same thing that, sir, I think octane and cetane number are the answers, but I'm not exactly sure. So then he was asking me that, I mean, what is octane number and cetane number? Then I told the truth that, sir, I don't know. Then he asked me that, okay, so now tell me that how can you cool your cylinder or engine? So I told a very bad answer here. So then I told, "Ki, sir, I think we will select the material so that it can undergo that much high thermal stress without any damage. So we don't need to cool." So then he actually laughed. Okay. And after that, I was like, I am just, अब क्या होगा? मुझे थोड़ा डर लगा. I was scared. Okay. But then I understood my fault and I rectified. No, sir, it will. I have to cool it. Then he asked that suddenly you have changed your answer. Just now you told that you don't need to cool the cylinder. Now you are just telling that you need to cool. So you tell me that why do you need to cool? So these are the moments of those toughness. He will catch up you. That are you just doing some fake expressions or are you just telling some fake things that you don't know or are you thinking logical? Then I told, sir, even if we choose some material which will not melt in the high temperature, but still there can be some thermal stresses which can in the meantime it can distort the material, okay, because of the thermal stresses. So then he was satisfied. So then he asked how to cool the cylinder. So then I answered that, sir, we can blow some air by forced convection or we can blow some coolant. Okay. Firstly, he asked that, okay, in automobile, which is used, air or coolant? So I actually heard about something called a radiator, which has the function of cooling the air. So I called that, I think, sir, air blow will be there. So then I was confused that if the air will come from the outside or not. So the thing is, I was not sure at all. Okay, I did not have that much deep knowledge about it. I just told them, sir, I am not very much sure, but I think this can be the thing. Then he told me, okay, but is air sufficient for cooling? Then I told, sir, no, I think to cool the cylinder, I need to supply some coolant. So then he told me a very good question that, okay, but air, you can take it from outside, but coolant, you cannot carry a big tank of coolant with your automobile, right? So how can you make the coolant work? Because when the coolant will cool the cylinder, it will be hot. Now we need a fresh, cool amount of coolant, right? So how will you manage that? Then I gave a beautiful answer that we need a thermodynamic cycle. That we will pass the coolant through a thermodynamic cycle. It will absorb the heat from the cylinder. It will put down the heat in a atmosphere maybe or any other reservoir if it is available, maybe a heat sink with the car. So then he was stopped. But throughout his questioning, I was very much scared and nervous. So here is the last question from the chairman. So the chairman asked that, can you draw the flame propagation in a auto cycle engine? So I drew something like this. This is the spark plug and these are the waves. So then the panelist who was asking CFD, and he told, okay, this is correct. But the chairman told, this is actually not exactly correct. This is partially correct. So then he told me, what is the most significant parameter when you are burning some or when you want to produce energy from combustion? So here I was actually, confused, sir. What that can be? Then he told that, okay, I can give you some hint. Think about the mixture strength or mixture ratio. Still, I was in a blank position. Then that panelist who was being rough, he again became rough and he told, no, sir, why you are giving answer? He has to give the answer. So he was talking over the chairman, okay, the Jovio. So then I was actually not giving the correct answers. I was speaking this word, that word, just ऐसे ही बोल रहा था. लेकिन but those were not the correct thing. So then the first panelist asked me that, do you know about something called equivalence ratio? I told sir yes. I told sir yes and I gave the definition. Then he told that, now can you tell that what can be the exact thing that is important for burning? I asked that, is it a stoichiometric ratio? Then I don't know why the chairman said no. But all the panelists were starting like gossiping with each other that what he is saying, and I became very much uncomfortable. Then the first panelist again told me that, can you tell that, what is stoichiometric ratio? Then he gave me the problem that H2 and O2, the oxidation of H2, you have to find the stoichiometric ratio. So I did this beautifully. But still, when I was doing this, so all the panelists, all the five DRDO scientists were gossiping among each other, regarding me in front of me. So I was in a very tense situation. So actually, this is a very easy question, but still I was making mistakes. And then the last panelist again made a comment that I don't think he can do it. Chhod do. So these kind of comments I did face. And after hearing that comment, I was like, okay, then I am gone. But here I am with the selection of DRDO scientist. So this was all about my interview. Now you saw, or you heard actually, you didn't saw. You heard that how I was being bombarded with those comments, with those rough comments, which was from only one panelist, but still it was very demotivating. In the meantime, I was like, what should I do? So I can actually recall that in class 9, I gave a similar kind of interview in a maths panel. So I was not able to answer the questions properly. And I told the panelists in my class 9, okay, in I told the panelists, sir, I am becoming very nervous. I don't want to continue this interview. And I went out the interview. But with the time, I understood that the panelists can comment or they can behave like anything, but you need to keep your calm. How can you do that? First of all, in this kind of interview, you need to prepare yourself to think logically step by step. In Bark, they will ask you 4 questions, but one of those questions, those 4 questions will be like big questions. Okay. In one question only, they will test all the concepts. So you need to prepare that logical thinking skill. How can you do that? For that, I have thought to bring something very helpful for you. If you want, please put that in the comment box. If you do want or not, I will bring a series of question solving just for this kind of interviews. That how should you approach a particular question in a scientific interview? This is very important. If you can develop this mindset or logic, obviously by its own, the confidence will build. Okay. And even if you are bombarded with demotivating comments, you will be able to keep yourself calm. And that is most important. You have to be humble, you have to be calm, and you have to be confident. But having said that, I am not telling that you will not make any kind of mistake. That will be there, but that is okay. I have also made many mistakes, but I got the selection. So that was all for this video. Now, please don't go. I have some words for you. Those who keep trying, who keeps trying for this kind of interviews, for this kind of exams, but you are failing consistently, please don't get that much demotivated. I think I know that it is easier said than done, but still, see, I have cracked DRDO, I have cracked GATE AIR 31, but still there are so many problems. So I am just asking you to make one thing very much clear, that whatever you can get, whatever you can crack, the issues will not be gone. Okay, there will always be issues, regarding the life. Okay, so don't be demotivated. Keep trying, keep hustling. And I have always told that Einstein has said that everyone is a genius, But if a fish tries to judge itself by comparing its ability to climb a tree, it will always find itself a stupid. So maybe there is something bigger than DRDO, bigger than GATE, or bigger than any examination that is waiting for you. So everyone is a genius, and so you are. So all the best. Now, finally, I have also made the interview experiences for IISc Bangalore. In there also, there were some funny situations, there were some harsh situations. So, how I did tackle those things, to know that, click on this video. I will meet you there. Until that, goodbye, take care, and thank you.